Hello and how's it going everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest Bethesda news. We're going to be breaking down the most recent Bethesda news, rumors, and speculation today, and I have a few interesting things to go over at the beginning of the video that are kind of new Bethesda news, and I do want to mention real quick, even though we're going to be going through them kind of quick, but at the end of the video I have a kind of speculative but very interesting discovery regarding Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6, and you may be wondering why I'm not sitting in my chair right now. There's a good reason for that. It has to do with the void creature that has taken over my chair. Yep, you can see the void creature there, but the second the light goes away, unless it's looking at you, it's just kind of, it just disappears into the nothingness, into the aether. So that's happening today. But yeah, that's why I'm standing. I don't want to battle the void creature. I can't fix my thing either. Oh no, the void creature is fighting me psychologically now. But either way, we have a few interesting things to go through in today's video, no matter if I'm sitting, standing, flying through the air because I pissed off Sheogorath and I was about to land somewhere and die. No matter what you do in the game, in that situation you always end up dead if you go against Sheogorath, and I think that's what that cat is. So let's get on to the first thing that I want to talk about in today's video. Wow, this video is off to a great start already. First off, real quick, Xbox is doing a pretty awesome, I guess, kind of like contest. If you retweet all this right here over on Twitter and stuff to enter into the contest, and maybe there's some other ways you can enter as well, but it looks like you're going to be able to get some awesome Bethesda-themed controllers here. I see a Fallout one, a Doom one, a Wolfenstein one, some pretty awesome controllers in this mix, and I just wanted to mention this real quick, not because I want you to join the contest. I don't get any kickback or anything from that, but mostly because I think this is going to be the beginning of a lot of Microsoft and Bethesda themed things going on. It's super awkward for me to stand here, but you know, whatever, at least I'm not angering the void creature, but I think that this is just going to be the beginning of a lot of stuff, and if Bethesda is already doing this kind of stuff with Microsoft, maybe we're going to see some kind of Starfield themed Xbox Series X that no one will be able to buy because all the bots are going to buy them out every 5 minutes. But I felt like this was interesting and worth sharing real quick. Let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about in today's video, which is that CD Projekt seems to be taking the Bethesda route, or at least more specifically the Bethesda Game Studios route, in regards to not talking about their games for years and getting the community hyped for something that they could have potentially be let down about, like Cyberpunk 2077. It seems like they're gonna have their marketing campaigns be a lot more low-key and a lot shorter, probably more like what Bethesda Game Studios does. Maybe not identical to what Bethesda Game Studios does, because Bethesda usually doesn't talk about their games until the year they come out, unless you're the anomaly that was 2018 with Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6. But CD Projekt seems to be learning their lesson here, which is super hype, and hopefully they do well in the future. I personally loved Cyberpunk 2077, but man, that game should have been delayed until like next year, until 2022. It would have been so amazing and worth it if they could have done everything perfect with the game. The universe of the game is great, but there's just so many issues that overshadow the great things about the game that I just hope CD Projekt can do justice with their future projects and not rush them out or let their executives make decisions on game development that they really don't know anything about. But let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about in today's video. It looks like apparently Doom 1, Doom 2, and Doom 3 are all getting packaged together in the Doom Classic Collection for the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch, and that's super interesting, right? Because Bethesda just got purchased by Microsoft, and now we're getting some kind of content collection for the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch. I mean, I would think that Bethesda would work with Nintendo still, or at least do whatever they're allowed to do with Nintendo that Microsoft would allow them. Nintendo and Bethesda have kind of had a close working relationship, at least low-key recently, so it would make sense for them to continue to do stuff, because Nintendo isn't inherently a direct competitor against Sony and Microsoft in the same way that Microsoft and Sony are competitors. Nintendo's kind of doing their own thing, which is great. They have their own like ecosystem going on, and even though they do step into like the rest of the next gen, or I guess current gen gaming ecosystem with some other AAA titles that normally wouldn't be on Nintendo consoles, they still mostly are centered around all their own IPs. But to see a Doom Eternal Classic Collection go for the PS4 surprises me a little bit, and it may be a small sign that there might still be some Bethesda content on the PlayStation, even if it's just stuff like this. I think Starfield might be Xbox exclusive, and future Doom games might be too, but that's just speculation. Only time will tell one way or another. And like I talked about in a previous video, Ikumi Nakamura, the previous creative director for Ghostwire Tokyo and Tango Gameworks, is founding her own indie studio that's going to be full of dark jokes, and Ikumi, I guess, sees herself as kind of being a Deadpool in this kind of sense, or at least in this way, so I'm super hyped to see what she does next. Ikumi is hilarious. She's a very interesting person. She has an awesome personality, and she was one of the shining stars of the E3 2019 entire event, let alone the BE3 showcase. It sucks that she's not at Bethesda, but I wish her well, and hope she's very successful with whatever she does next. Standing here is super awkward, dude. I'm never... Cat? This is the last time you get to have my chair during a video. And the last thing I want to talk about in today's video is this discovery by Jenkins. Jenkins made this discovery a couple days ago, so huge shout out to Jenkins. Jenkins and Oda and a bunch of other people over at the Skullzi Discord are always making these amazing discoveries, but Jenkins found kind of a pattern amongst all the different Bethesda artists over on ArtStation, and most importantly, I guess in this case, Pinterest. Now, these collections and stuff that you're about to see aren't from the actual artists, meaning these artists didn't make these creations themselves, but they did go through the work to favorite these different images that you're about to see, because they want to use these images as inspiration for what the tone and vibe and for what their own creations for Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6 will be. I kind of broke this down in previous videos in regards to ArtStation and stuff, and this is still considered speculation, so don't assume all this is confirmed, but in my opinion there are some very easily identifiable patterns in Jenkins' discovery. And basically he went through a lot of different Pinterest profiles and even ArtStation profiles from various different Bethesda artists and found some pretty big patterns. First of all, he found that a long time ago, or at least not a long time ago, but some time has passed since this time, and that is all these different artists and stuff had kind of modern features and weapons and just space stuff and spaceships and all that kind of stuff in their favorites on Pinterest and ArtStation, and it seems like they're kind of looking for inspiration into how they would design their own stuff and assets for Starfield with these images, because that's how it works in this industry. Artists will look at other stuff that has already been created in the industry, in the sphere, and use it to kind of influence their own stuff. They're not stealing these pieces of art, they're just using it to kind of give them some inspiration into how they would want to make their own assets for Starfield. And then after some time has passed, all of a sudden, all this space stuff and these modern weapons stop, and you start to see what looks like actual swords and katanas and curved swords as well, so some Hammerfell vibes there in these weapons, and it seems like it's a very obvious contrasting switch from when all these modern weapons and space stuff and just handguns and assault rifles and stuff to swords. It seems like the transition is kind of obvious and huge here, and that kind of leads me to believe that at some point in time they were totally done with Starfield and moved over to the Elder Scrolls 6, which is obvious, right? The majority of the community believes Starfield's basically done already and is going to be released this year, so it would make sense that at some point in the past the Elder Scrolls 6 started its main development pipeline. I believe that happened maybe a little bit earlier than when most people would expect it to happen, but still, there's still some people that think that Starfield has years to go, and I think that this discovery by Jenkins right here is evidence that they have moved on to the Elder Scrolls 6. On top of that, you get some obvious vibe and tone stuff here as well in regards to Starfield. I already broken down previous discoveries on Pinterest and ArtStation from Rafael Vargas, who was designing the architecture and stuff for Starfield, so that already proves there's cities in the game, and they'll probably look like these images that Rafael Vargas is referencing for use in his own creations. And then you can see some stuff that looks like some very obvious Hammerfell vibes, and some of these images even were used, or at least were visited, by Bethesda Game Studio staff in the past to kind of do some low-key investigative work and get some inspiration for designing the Elder Scrolls 6. They went to these areas so they can kind of see firsthand how they should design Hammerfell in the Elder Scrolls 6, and some of these same images from some of these same places are across all of these different developers, and you can even see that some of these developers are referencing the same sci-fi style images and character images from all the different profiles. And in regards to stuff like this, all these different developers are even referencing multiples of the same image, meaning they're going back together to these images to use them for work-related purposes. If all these different images and all these different galleries weren't favorited by multiple different Bethesda Game Studios artists, I wouldn't think this was anything interesting to talk about, but I mean, if they're all referencing the same stuff together as a group, it's obvious it's work-related. And all these images don't look like the Fallout retro futurism stuff. These look like clean sci-fi images changes more or less what a different IP would be with space other than Fallout, and that's why I think that this would almost certainly be relevant to the tone and vibe of Starfield. But I'm kind of getting uncomfortable standing and bending over. If I were to stand normal, I'd be like this, but it looks like I'm some kind of strange Homelander character now, and that's why I'm not talking to you like this. So my back hurts. Next time I just have to take my chair from the cat overlord. But that's going to be everything I want to talk about in today's video. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn notifications on. And if you want to help grow the channel and the community, be sure to share the video, share the content, get people to subscribe and be aware of the channel, because the YouTube algorithm really ignores channels underneath 100,000 subscribers. And I just realized I recorded my webcam with HDR on, so those of you without an HDR display, I'll probably literally look like some kind of glowing one glitch. But either way, since I'm going to ask you all to share the content, the channel's been growing a lot faster, so huge thank you, it is much appreciated. And speaking of appreciation, huge shout out to these amazing people for going above and beyond to support the channel and bring you content like this. If you want to get a permanent feature video shout out from this point forward, you can support the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all this and more are down in the description below. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when that's not a cat, it's an elfique. And that's why I don't mess with it, because it knows magic.
It just works.